Well, congratulations on signing up for my new video training series on how to train dogs to learn how to finally stay calm in situations that currently have them behaving way too out of control. And over the next several days, I'm going to be releasing a series of free videos that will reveal 3 steps in a process for how to take those situations that your dog currently can't stay calm in, whether you've got the type of dog that gets so excited he just can't contain himself when he knows something fun and exciting is about to happen, or if you've got the kind of overreactive dog that easily flies off the hinges at things that come in, on, or near his territory, where he practically flies through the window maybe, or the fence when he sees strangers, or maybe hears strange sounds he can't identify, whether they're outside, on your TV, or he's just making them up in his own mind. Or you've got a poorly socialized dog who doesn't behave well around other people or other dogs, maybe because he's stressed, maybe he's fearful, or maybe he's just being too overprotective. Well, if you've got a dog, like one of those that I just described, over the next few days, I'm going to show you a process for how to take those things that make your dog lose his cool and teach you how to reduce those overreactions by more than 50% in less than a week. And in 2 to 3 weeks from now, have them eliminated completely. Because as you might have noticed, the traditional method of using rewards to get your dog to keep his emotions in check simply doesn't work when it comes to fixing easily riled up types of dogs, which is why I'm releasing this video series so that you can finally learn a way that does work. And before we dive into the first training today, I want to put your mind at ease and let you know that this video that you're watching today has nothing for sale. My goal is to simply focus on delivering 100% pure content to you, so that if you've got your wallet out right now, go ahead and put it away for the next couple of days. And instead, grab a pen and some paper and let's get to work on what it really takes to train your dog to start being calm. And let's start by introducing you to the dog that motivated me to finally put this video series together for you. This is Griffin. Griffin had a serious problem containing his excitement. For Griffin, his issue was containing his excitement around his ball. And while I'll show you how I cured this behavior in the next video that I'll be releasing in this series, and how to contain excitement around other things besides just a ball, I wanted you to see just how bad he really was at containing his excitement. Because I want you to know that I understand what it's like to be completely unable to control your dog when he goes into one of his fits, when it seems like nothing can get through to him. But instead of just explaining how bad it was, I think I'll just show you the clip from his first Training for Calm session.
Quiet. Oh, not going to be a good start today, huh? You've been doing excellent until this. This doesn't look like we've made any progress, Griffin.
Well, how about that? That was pretty bad, right? Not only would Griffin do that with his ball, he would do it for anything he wanted, but that he couldn't have, like being tied up when he wanted to be with you, or being inside when he wanted to be outside. And like I mentioned, my second video in the series will show you the training session footage that reveals how I went into getting him to stop that barking in less than 1 week. So you will be getting that lesson. It's shot in HD and it shows exactly how I worked with Griffin to fix his behavior. But before I can send you that next video, it's really important to cover the 3 big mistakes that dog lovers make when it comes to teaching their overreactive, overexcited dogs how to actually remain calm or be patient around things that set them off in their environment. Because if you don't stop making these critical mistakes first, the training techniques that I'll be sharing with you this week simply aren't going to work for you. So let's dive in. You see, as it turns out, there's one thing that affects how easy it is for your dog to remain calm and under control more than anything else. This is something I've discovered after extensively surveying my customers and clients and analyzing their dog's bad behavior. And what that research has uncovered is that the biggest determining factor of whether your dog can learn how to become calm is not your dog's breed or whether he was rescued as a pup or his age, but instead it's what I call your pet parenting style. And after surveying hundreds of thousands of my clients, what I've discovered is that there are basically 4 types of pet parenting styles. And what's interesting is that certain styles create dogs that are less likely to know how to remain calm in certain situations. So the first thing we need to do here is help you determine which pet parenting style you tend to use so that we can make sure you aren't using one of the styles that creates dogs who can't keep their emotions in check. So as we go through these 4 styles, I want you to take a little note of which style you think you tend to fall into, because depending on your style, I'm going to recommend to you to make some changes in how you will handle your dog moving forward from here that will profoundly affect how calm he ever learns to become. So, the first pet parenting style is something I call the dictator. This is a style of raising a dog where you really feel like it's your job to show your dog who's boss, to be his alpha, that you must get your dog to submit if you ever hope to get him to obey. And you probably naturally want to use this style if you sometimes find yourself jerking the leash to get your dog to maybe stop pulling, or you swat or you yell to get your dog to calm down if he's barking up a storm. Or maybe you knee your dog in the chest if he jumps up on you when you come through the door. And if that's how you tend to want to react when your dog misbehaves, then you're most likely using this dictator style of pet parenting. And the theory of this style is that if your dog sees you as the strongest member of his pack, he'll obey. The biggest problem with this method, however, besides how research has shown that dogs are 20% more likely to become aggressive when parented this way, is that the dog becomes unable to stay calm on his own, without the threat of the dictator's heavy hand always within arm's reach. So, like that classic example of kids who go to religious schools where the heavy-handed rule enforcers make it appear that children are well behaved, yet who once those kids get out of school and out from under the threat of strict punishment become unable to stay out of trouble, over binging on maybe alcohol, sex, or drugs, because they never learned how to regulate their emotions without the threat of punishment ever looming over them. Well, that same thing happens in dogs too, where if you use this dictator style of pet parenting, your dog becomes unable to remain calm and under control anytime he's out of your reach. Then there's a second type of pet parenting style that I call the spoiler. My own mother is one of these, and a spoiler is basically the opposite of a dictator, and her motto is, "Oh, it's okay." And as an example, if a spoiler's dog is barking at the door at guests who come over, let's say, a spoiler type of style might attempt to calm the dog down by petting him and soothingly saying, "It's okay, calm down, it's okay, you're okay." And while this style of parenting does not create aggressive dogs like the dictators does, spoilers create dogs who become incredibly overexcited and amped up to greet certain people they like, while simultaneously losing all ability to stay calm in situations where something is bothering them, and maybe mama's not there to help calm them down. So spoilers dogs often turn into fence fighters or dog-to-dog aggressive dogs who try to fly through the window at the sight of another thing that's entered their turf. And these dogs are either overexcited, overconcerned, or they're both. And the only time they're calm is when nobody is around. There is no in-between with these dogs, and they are completely unable to keep their emotions in check without mama there to help them. They're like a baby without its binky. Then there's the third parenting style, and I call these the free rangers. The free ranger pet parenting style believes that God created the dog the way he is, and you either got a good one or you got a bad one. And historically, these have typically been outdoor types of folks and outdoor types of dogs, but it's becoming more and more common to use this parenting style indoors as well. And they are parented as a bit of a hybrid approach compared to the first two styles, where if the dog gets into trouble, it is treated like a dictator, but only half the time, because it's only when the dog has finally upset their owner enough that the owner finally lays into them. And these dogs tend to have so much freedom, like free access to a backyard fence where they can bark at anyone who walks by, as an example, with no repercussions, that they don't end up knowing how to contain their overexcitement either, because nobody is there showing them how. And they're simply allowed to get away with being overexcited all day long, or at least for long stretches at a time, like while mama's at work, right? So what these dogs tend to look like are dogs who are way too excited about happy things in their life, especially if they are dogs with a high prey drive or a high play drive, who are never taught how to keep those drives in check. They tend to be way naughty or way too aggressive when you're out of hand's reach to correct their behavior, and even if they do mind, they usually only mind for one person in your family, and that typically is the dictator, and to disobey basically everyone else. Now, here's the most important thing you need to understand about these three parenting styles. None of them create dogs who know how to be calm without some sort of intervention by the owner, which is a huge problem. What each of these three pet parenting styles creates is an emotional crutch for your dog, where you have a dog who can't stay calm on his own, which is why the fourth pet parenting style is so helpful, because it's the only one that teaches your dog how to stay calm without you having to be within arm's reach. And I call this style the emotion coaching style. I first learned how powerful emotion coaching was from my uncle, who not only trained dogs to compete in the Alaskan long-distance Iditarod race, but who actually placed 10th in that race one year. And what he taught me was that in the Iditarod, controlling your dog's excitement It's everything. You have to know how to get your dog to ramp it up and get excited, and when to tone it down and take it easy. Because if you let the dogs get too excited and run too hard in that race, the dogs will burn out and they can't complete the race. So you have to train the dogs to relax and to pace themselves while they're in the middle of running. And when you think about it, that sounds kind of hard to do, right? Imagine having the ability to watch your dog. He's running full speed down the street, and on command, you can have him cut his pace to 30% of full speed. Well, for most people, that sounds nearly impossible. But when you learn how to train dogs to tone it down a notch, it's totally not. So what my uncle taught me is that there's a trick when working with how excited you want your dog to be. He said you have to train excitement in reverse order. And what he taught me was that most people think that if you're riding behind a pack of dogs in a sled training for the Iditarod, and you toss out your anchor brake, it's that anchor that drags in the snow behind the sled that slows it down. Well, most people think that that would teach the dogs to go slower, right? Because the sled is now going slower. Yet, the funny thing is, it doesn't. Instead, because the dog feels this extra weight on that line, that's slowing them down, the weird thing is that actually makes the dog work harder because they want to maintain their pace. So, if the trainer knows this, and my uncle does, and continues to give the command to go faster, every time they drop that anchor, and they do this over and over again where they drop the anchor and say go faster, drop the anchor and say go faster, eventually the dogs learn to go faster just on the command and no longer need to feel that little pull from the anchor being dropped anymore to motivate them to pull and work harder. They'll just do it on command. Then, when it comes to training these dogs how to slow their pace, what the trainer does is he starts with that anchor dragging, and then he does the opposite. He picks up the brake or the anchor while giving the slow down command over and over and over again. And the effect is like what happens if you've ever been running on a treadmill that's automatically timed to auto adjust, right? Between incline and decline every couple of minutes. Well, there you are, right? Running along at the incline pace, let's say, and maybe not paying attention. And then all of a sudden the treadmill switches to decline. And because you are so used to pushing hard to go uphill and just going harder, your instant reaction when the treadmill switches to decline is to slow down so you don't fall flat on your face because now you're running too fast and because you're going downhill. Well, that's the same thing that happens to sled dogs. When the trainer who's dragging that anchor releases that anchor and uses this style of training, it makes them want to slow down, just like we slow down when the treadmill goes into decline when we don't notice it. And what really sank home for me when I learned this from my uncle was that if you can train dogs to calm down while in the middle of something they were bred to do, like to pull or to sprint or to run, then you sure as heck should be able to do it around other things that your dog gets overly excited about and anxious around too. And that's what an emotion coaching pet parenting style focuses on. Typically, these are trainers like the ones who train bomb dogs, right? Who need to train their dog to not interact with things too aggressively or too excitedly. It has to be done in a calm way, or obviously things can go very wrong. Or a seeing eye dog trainer who can't have their dog freaking out on a sidewalk because it sees another dog while they're leading a blind person down a busy street. Or search and rescue dogs, right? Who can't be distracted by every little wild animal that darts in front of them while they're searching for a lost child. So this emotion coaching style of pet parenting focuses on those types of things, training dogs to regulate their emotional overreactions to things in their world. And there's a proven step-by-step process for how to do this. And step one is knowing how to teach your dog what your line in the sand is. This is the biggest mistake that owners of overreactive dogs make. They don't know how to specifically teach their dog what that line in the sand is for what constitutes good versus bad behavior. And I'll give you an example. If you've got a dog who, let's say, barks his head off at everything and anything that steps foot in his territory, ask yourself this question. Does your dog know how much barking is too much? Or do you know how much barking is too much? Is it one bark? Is it 2 barks? Is it 100 barks? Have you ever actually taught your dog how many barks at one time is acceptable? Or have you kind of left it out in the open? You're not really clear. Because I can promise you that if you don't know that exact number, then your dog has no chance of ever having his problem solved. And the same goes for whether you have a dog who's overly excited to greet you when you come through the door, or you've got a fence fighter, or you've got an antisocial dog. If you never show the dog exactly what acceptable behavior looks like, you will never have a dog who knows how to be calm and in control. Which is exactly why in my next video, I'm going to show you how to teach your dog how to know where your line in the sand is, as I show you how to train what I call the ignore it command. which, as you'll see when you watch it, completely cured my Chocolate Lab's obsessive barking issue in less than 1 week, and that you can use on your own dog to get him to ignore the different triggers that set him off. Whether your dog barks because he's too excited like-minded, or you've got a territorial barker that you'd like to calm down, or you've got one of those antisocial dogs who needs to learn to be less reactive around other people or other dogs. However, before I share that video with you, I need you to do a quick little homework assignment, because in order for you to get the most out of this next video lesson that I'll be sending you, you're going to want to make sure you have at least a 6-foot-long leash that you can, and this is important, clip to a belt. You don't want one that will tie to a belt, because in order to do the exercise correctly that I'll be sending you soon, you're going to need to be quickly able to unhook and rehook your dog's leash on your belt for this exercise to work in this next video. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy, and you can make one yourself from the hardware store if you like to, if you're on a low budget. I just know that once you see this technique in the next video, you're going to want to try it on your own dog. So I want to make sure I gave you some time to make sure you have the right equipment on hand before I shared that with you. And then lastly, I'd like to learn more about the types of situations you'd like my help training your dog to remain calm in this week. So please leave me a comment below describing the type of situation you'd like me to help you and your dog learn how to stay calm in. And I will do my best, if you leave a comment below, to address your specific challenge in one of my other videos that I'm going to be releasing this week, so I can be as helpful to you as possible. Then also make sure you check your email here in a couple of days, as I will be shooting you off an email when I release the second video of this series. That's how you'll know where it is, and it'll have the link to that video in that email. And please, if you found this video insightful and that see how this emotion coaching style of pet parenting might benefit some other dog lovers you know, please feel free to share this video on your Facebook page or with a friend. There are simply too many other dog lovers out there that end up abandoning their dogs to shelters because they never learn how to train for calm behavior. And if sharing this video series with your friends could help even one dog out there, then I really appreciate you spreading the word about this free series. So hit that share button, like this page, leave me a comment with how I can help you more, and I look forward to sending you video 2 here in a couple of days. Take care and happy training.